Fox Robbins Business Show. Great to have you guys back again. The Fox Robbins Show is all about developing your very best business ideas. I mean, we're here to help, advise, to push, to cajole, to develop, to hold your hand if necessary. Whatever, to encourage, small business. That's the Fox Robbins Business Show. And I'm the co-host. I'm the lowly co-host. But the guy that we really need to listen to is the perceptive and percipient and perspicacious and phosphorescent Coach Robbins.
Is that something to do with my deodorant, perspicacious? Wow, I'm impressed.
Coach is, he's counseling small business people daily, hourly.
Hourly, every day.
And if he's not talking to one, he's talking to a group in a motel conference room somewhere.
A couple of dozen of them sitting there, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, or a one-on-one in my office, one after another, 6 a day sometimes.
Or driving over the cliff with them.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, that's my name, so
Cliff.
I'll join them.
We're going to talk in this episode about how to decide if entrepreneurship is right for you. A great article is based on a great article by Colleen DeBase, and we thought that was an excellent article, and we ought to talk about that.
It is.
And share Coach Robbins' view on this, because this is an upfront decision. Business has not been decided on yet. I'm only thinking about it.
Right.
And if that being the thing, the first item on the list is, do you have the zeal, Coach?
Yep. I mean, passion is a word. Sometimes it's misused, right? There are going to be times when it's difficult. You say that if you're looking forward to going to work, right, and it's your own business, then by all means, you're doing the right thing, because there's going to be some rough patches. There's going to be some difficult times. I guarantee it, all right? You got to be very, very interested long after the initial rush of enthusiasm fades. Colleen's absolutely right. But if you love what you're doing, because my wife says to me, how long are you going to do what you're doing right now? I said, Paul McCartney, I saw him in an interview. The guy's, 76 or 7 years old? He's writing a new album. He's going out on the road.
Yeah.
And they said, Paul, you're a billionaire. What are you doing this for? You know what he said? I thought it was a great line. Yeah. I can't help it. I mean, that's the same way I feel. What I do every day, by sitting with, small business people through the Small Business Development Center here in Massachusetts, I can't help it. I really love sitting there, even if it's problems we're talking about. If I can come up with a solution, help them find a solution, help people start their business. I mean, I've helped hundreds of people literally start business. I've helped hundreds of businesses turn their business from ugly to profitable. I can't help it. I love doing it. I love sitting there face to face with people and helping them with their business.
When Coach was recommending this episode, I was going to mention that I was casually over on the weekend, doing couch potato, and I was stumbled.
I'm good at that.
Stumbled into a movie rerun. The name of the movie is Joy, Joy. I couldn't believe it. As I was watching, I was sitting there watching and watching. It's unfolding. It's a movie about entrepreneurship. A lady who comes up with a floor mop. And I don't want to beat this to death, but I was watching this movie and I was saying, it puts into reality, as movies can do, this, rough patches.
Oh yeah.
She got a deal with the TV on internet sale, selling products on the internet, which is very popular. Yeah. She made a whole deal and got up to the point where her product was going to be presented, internationally on the internet on this sales show, and the salesperson presenting her mop blew it and couldn't get the mop open, and blew the whole thing, and there wasn't one single phone call. It's just, bam. Can you imagine? you know, the shame, the disappointment, the anger.
Yep.
I mean, for goodness sake. And later on in the show, in the movie, she is double crossed. I mean, absolutely stabbed right between the fourth and fifth rib by her subcontractor, the person, you know, appointed by her to make the mops, stole her idea.
Yeah.
You know, took it away. Anyway, I don't want to beat this to death, but
Yeah, okay.
I was watching that movie and I
Joy,
was stuck
isn't it?
in.
I've never seen it. Joy.
The name of the
J-O-Y.
movie is Joy. Joy. By the way, the star, the star in the show is De Niro. Robert De Niro
Oh, he's great.
was in that movie.
Meryl Streep?
No, but it had a.
She's not. She's in everything.
But the woman who was Joy. You know, the title of it was did an excellent job.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, I got mouthing off about that, but let's go on.
Yep. Yeah, they're going to be rough patches. Yeah,
boy,
that brings it out.
Tell
Right.
you. So what is this? What's this? Starting a business?
I've been using this picture for years. I blogged it. I said, everybody thinks their baby's beautiful. You know, I got people come to me and they've got some ideas, and boy, some of them are strange. I will admit that. But they think it's a beautiful idea. But you know what? You got to really do the research and understand, is it really a beautiful idea? You know,
Yeah, right.
And it's good to go talk to some people, you know, at the SBDC, whatever town or city you were in. There's an SBDC in every state, and usually within a half-hour ride, a university attached. Very smart. I work with some of the smartest people, business people on the planet. There are a score of people all over the place. These are people who have been there and done that. Go talk. You know, get a reality check. Is this a business? I'm passionate about this baby, but somebody might be able to say to you, "Oh, I don't know."
Is it going to turn out looking
right.
like
This
this?
might not be the beautiful baby you
Or
think.
is it going to look like?
Well,
is it
that's
going to be
what
like
you
this?
want. You know, everybody wants that. You know, be emotionally, you know, ready and ready to rock and roll to make this thing. You know. That baby's going to have constant needs, but you know, you are passionate. You do love that baby, and in this case, of course, we mean that business, and you're willing to feed it, you're willing to clothe it, you're willing to change the diapers when things come out that aren't too good, right? But you're willing to stick with it, and you're somebody that's very persistent and very passionate. You have a great internal locus of control that you know somehow you're going to make this work.
The author of the article. It's a great analogy. This, you know, being a parent.
It is.
If you never started a business, say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be another, you know, Bill Gates or
Zuckerberg
Zuckerberg,
or Dell,
Dell, or whatever, Dell, and so forth.
Right.
Great. That's great. Please hold that idea, but realize going into it that this parent idea from the very birth, you know, through just as you said, every hour of every day, you know, every month, every year, you're in constant vigilance. Be ready emotionally and financially for the constant needs, hour by hour, until that business is up and running
until
and
it's
mature
up
enough.
and running and mature enough that you can now take it as a regular job. Because I've done that. When I first started, I started 3 or 4 different businesses I can think of offhand, maybe more now. But I know that one of them, when I first started, I worked hard. I mean, I worked 6, 7 days a week. I worked 12, 14-hour days. Quite frankly, you know, many years later, 6, 7 years later, when I had 100 employees and over $22 million of sales, quite frankly, I didn't work 16 hours a day. I had other people working. I had to run the business, but at first, you're going to work very, very hard. I love it when somebody comes to me and says, I want to start my own business because I don't want to work so hard. I'm working for a big company right now. And I say, really, would you like to work half-time? Yeah, I'd like to work half-time. Great, it's 12 hours a day. Which 12 do you want to work? Because it's 7 days a week, too. It's on your mind on Sundays, too.
And Coach, this is another issue with you, with everyone. Am I passionate about my product or service?
Absolutely. If you're standing in the mirror, and I got this from a former senior vice president of a little company called AT&T, that's it. And he said he spent 40 years with AT&T, but if he had his life to live over again, he thinks he'd rather start his own business, something he was really passionate about, because he hated the last 20 years. He moved all over the country, moved his family, made a lot of money, but his advice to his kids was, do something you're really passionate about. One of his sons started a very successful business of his own because he was passionate about it, so that when you're working 12 hours a day, you're really happy to be working in and on your business all that much, because it is all about you. It's all about your product or your service and what problem, want, need, desire it solves, because that's what you're the chief salesperson. You're the one that's going to be out there talking about it.
But are you ready? Are you absolutely ready that 9 out of 10 times the answer is no? Mm-hmm. Can you handle that?
I don't know. I can. I tell them.
Yeah. 9 out of 10 times, and you say, "Oh, I didn't realize that." You think that the very first person you go to is yes, 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 when the truth is no.
Well, the Kentucky Colonel, the story is he went to 1,000 restaurants before he got his first one to buy his chicken. So he was pretty persistent. You heard the story of Thomas Edison. Yeah. They said, didn't you get discouraged every time you went through 1,000 different filaments?
Filaments for the light bulb.
And he said, no, I wasn't discouraged at all. I just knew, cross that off the list. It doesn't work. So that gets to the sales SW cubed over N. Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? I still believe in what I'm doing, and I'm still passionate about it. I'm going to go and do it. But at some point, it has to be real, too.
Next one is tolerance for risk. If you've never been through it, if not you personally, I don't mean you, of course.
Oh, I have.
But anyone, if you don't really have a understand, lying in bed, not able to sleep, concerned that the next day is going to bring very great risk, or next week, or next month, or next year, I don't know, whatever the case is. But tolerance, a risk is worry, concern, fear.
Well, you're going to have worry, concern, fear, but you have to understand, you have to still believe that, you're still going to get there. Nobody is totally without it. It's just that, again, what I said a little bit earlier, fancy term for it, confidence, if you will, for lack of a better word, that I know this is going to work, and I'm going to be persistent. I'm going to work hard to make it work. The internal locus of control, knowing that somehow I will figure out a way to make this work, because I still believe in the core idea. Yeah. And I know that I'm capable of it. It goes back to what I said about angel investors. They invest in people more than they invest in products or services. Yeah.
The author of the article says being the entrepreneur is going to jump off the cliff and learn how to fly before hitting the ground. That's a great image.
Yeah, well, you better have wings, and I hope you have an engineering background. It will work. You're just on the way down. You got to figure out how to do it before you hit the ground, and you know that you're going to be able to do it because you tested it. You didn't jump off the cliff. You actually jumped in the air, and it worked.
Speaking of that, that's funny. You ever seen those kite flyers, the people who jump off a 4,000-foot cliff? I mean, somebody did that for the first time.
Only once.
This is good. I'd like to hear your comments about am I good at making decisions? What is your take on that?
Well, this gets back to the core belief, which is it's people that make success a business. If they're competent, if they learn that it is all about them, they're going to have to make decisions. I'm not saying you have to make them alone. You can have advisors. You can have SBDC advisor, a SCORE advisor. You can have a board of advisors, a CPA, a lawyer, an accountant, different people that can give you mentors who maybe have done something similar before. It gets back to what I said, that investors would rather work with a Class A team than a Class B team with a Class A idea, because somehow something's going to change even with a Class A idea. And if the Class B idea can't make a good decision, guess what? They'll just goof it up anyway. Right. But a Class A team will work together, a particular team, and make the right call at the right time and pivot. We talk about pivoting. What I always say to people, you know what, how many letters are there in the alphabet? Come on, this is the easy question.
15.
It's 26.
Oh, 26. Yeah.
All right, you failed the first
I made
time.
a decision.
You did, very good. Well, you almost did. So if plan A doesn't work, what do? Go to plan B.
Plan B.
Plan B doesn't work, go to plan C. Right? Well, we got 23 more letters after that that we can keep making good decisions, keep pivoting, and somehow figure out a way that this thing is going to work and be successful.
Before you start that business, maybe you have not been in a decision-making capacity.
Sure, right.
I mean, well, a lot of the people you counsel is
Never had to make decisions for themselves. They
Really?
never, yeah.
And having said that, you know, one thing that comes to my mind is having a procedure, like a thought procedure, specifically, and you know, in my case is, I want to know first off, I want to know all the alternatives.
Sure. Well, first of all,
I want to satisfy myself.
Whoa, no, not yet. You missed something. Like Einstein said, if you see a problem before you develop alternatives, if you have 20 minutes to decide on what you're going to do, spend the first 19 figuring out what the problem is, okay? Then come up with the alternatives and then discuss them and then pick the best one, because some people solve the wrong problems, right? Yeah.
I'm just, I'm trying to say that, you know, making a decision,
Yeah,
having an approach or a routine
you do. You
would
need
be
a process,
good,
right?
Yeah, sure.
Come up with 2 or 3. When somebody comes into the office and says, we got a problem, I say, okay, what are you going to do about it? Oh, I don't know. Well, that's wrong. I don't want to hear that. I want to say, we could do this, or we could do that, or we could do that. What do you think we should do? We should do this. Okay, why? Back and forth. All right, why don't we give that a try? Go back. Give it a. Don't come to me with a problem you have no idea how to solve it.
I know on by the way, decision is something that you've talked about a lot, is like you're identifying the problem, you're coming up with your alternatives. That's all great.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. How do I say it? Don't be afraid of all of the alternatives. If there's an alternative, you say, oh, we can't do that.
Why?
Or, gee, we've never done it that way.
Oh, that's the worst thing you could ever say to me.
But don't be fearful. I mean, if you're going to outline the alternatives, get all of them.
Right. That's why I say spend 19
No
minutes.
matter how improbable or how
Right.
even distasteful.
Yeah.
Whatever. But get them all lined
Right.
up.
And then look the good, the bad, the ugly on all of them and pick the best one. And by the way, if that doesn't work, that was plan B. Let's talk about plan C.
Well, then you should feel better about decision making. If you do have a process, you should.
You got to have a process.
And this is another one is you know, the old analogy of having a closet full of hats. Am I willing to take on numerous responsibilities? What about that, Coach?
You better be. Like I said in a previous show about selling, I get a kick out of it. Somebody comes to me and says, you know, I'm great at this. I can bake, I can this, I can write software, I can do whatever. Really not into that business stuff, that selling particularly. I'm just not, I don't want to be, you know, I just want to be in the back room writing code. Good, get a job. Okay.
Work for
because
somebody
it's
else.
It's you out there, and you're in marketing, you're in sales, you're making sure that your books are straight. You're making sure that if somebody owes you money, you're collecting it. You're negotiating orders. And once you start hiring people, you will become a manager of people. I can't understand why people become managers and they've never understood how human resources, never understood organizational behavior, don't know how to lead, don't know how to plan, don't know how to organize things. They were great software writers, and now they're the manager of the software department. Who the hell taught them how to manage people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just because they're great at something, you know, the Peter Principle says you rise to your own level of incompetence, right?
Right.
Well, if they're going to be a manager, maybe you ought to teach them how to manage human beings, okay? Because I've seen too many people that haven't got a clue how to manage a human being. Doesn't mean they're not going to be successful. Witness Steve Jobs, okay? Right. He was the worst on the planet when it comes to handling people.
Right. But there's and these items on our slide: marketing, bookkeeper, bill collector.
Yep.
Bill collector. That's a nasty one. No one likes that.
No, Jenny liked it.
You're
Jenny, God love her. Boy, I'll tell you. And I turned it over to her. I said, Jenny, anybody owes me money, you collect it. Well, if they call you, are you going to? I don't tell them not to call me. You're in charge. You know, you're in charge of collecting my money. Period. End of story. I had clients call me and say, don't you own the company? Yes, I do. You want to mess with her? That's why you're coming to me. Give her a check so get her off my back, too.
But I also say, before you had Jenny, guess who had to collect the bill?
Me, right
You.
up front.
Yeah.
And I made sure I did too, because it's not a business deal till I get paid. The cash cycle, I bought the product, I sold the product, until I collect the product, the cash cycle's not complete.
Right. And everything, I mean, it's like clean up the shop, if there is one, I mean, if there's such a thing.
Yep.
You gotta get your own business cards. I mean,
You got to design your own logos, your own everything. Of course, today you go online and get an awful lot of help, professional help for short money, doing all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was out front once sweeping away from in front of the counter, and Henry came up to me and said, "I'll do that, boss." I said, "I know how to sweep, Henry. No problem."
right.
Now, I wasn't doing that 10 years later, I'll grant you. You know, I was sitting in the ivory office up top.
And Coach, will I be able to avoid burnout?
Well, if you're passionate about it, like I say, if you're going into it, and I don't mean a nut, I mean, if you really love what you're doing, yeah, I mean, you need to take breaks. Look, you can't go 7 days a week forever. You need to recharge your batteries, but if you love what you're doing and you're doing it 6, 7 days a week, you love what you're doing. It's like McCartney says, I can't help it. He's going to be on the road for I don't know how many months. The guy's 77 years old, right? Yeah. But he loves it. By the way, he's staying at good hotels, don't get me wrong. You know, he's got a private jet, too. It isn't like he's walking, you know. But he loves doing it, can't help it. So if you love it and you're doing it 6, 7 days a week, then you know what? You love doing it. And abandon hobbies, so you know. Golf? Not at first. You don't have the time to take somebody else, spend 4 hours, even if they're a client. Right. You're working in your business. I gave up golf in the nascent stage of a business I built. But after I got it to a certain point, believe me, I then made sure that I took them to the club and fed them and, you know, took care of them. But at first, no way, no time for it.
Well, we bring up this issue about 7 days a week. We bring it up to say maybe you're watching this episode. You're saying, well, that's no big deal. I understand that. Coach, you talk to promising people starting up businesses all the time. How many of them realize that they're going to be sweating for 24 hours a day, or
how many of them that come to see me?
Come to see you don't understand this.
I make sure they understand it before I don't know. They might come in with starry-eyed ideas, and I do get them. And like I say, I don't want to work that hard. The strangest one I've ever had. The guy took an early retirement from a company.
Right.
He came to see me, and he said, I want to start a business because I'm sick of working all these hours. I want my own company that I can run while I'm at the beach with my laptop. I said, really? I said, what kind of a business do you want to run? I want to open a restaurant. I said, excuse me? Have you got restaurant business? No. You know? But I know I can run it. You know, I can just have a good cook and a good, waitress, and everything will be just great, and I can just run it from the beach. I mean, seriously. And I said, boy, you're in trouble.
One thing I want to make sure that we nail down, you're starting a business, this thing about, chief salesperson. Coach and I have done an episode on sales, and we say, if you're starting a business, you're a salesperson. And here again, many people who say they're interested in starting a business say, oh, I'm not a salesperson, that's somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Good. Get a job. Somebody's got to do it. It's really cool. You're selling your bankers, your investors, your employees, your customers, your suppliers. You're always talking to them. You're always selling them. You better be a salesperson.
Yeah.
Because it's you. That's it. You're the solopreneur when you start, even if you've got 3 or 4 people. Yeah. Everybody wants to talk to the boss.
A vendor. You say, what,
all
sell a vendor? You
supplier.
Kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Well, I'm telling you, been there, done that. You have to persuade a vendor. That sounds crazy. It's not crazy. There will be situations where you need the support of a vendor.
You do need support of all your vendors. I mean, and the more you ask, the more you talk to them. I had vendors give me terms under certain circumstances, 90 days, 2% cash discount. I had a wire manufacturer, copper was going crazy, made a deal with them. I'll buy all my copper from you. If the price goes down, I pay the lower price. If it goes up, I pay the lower price. They took it. I'm always negotiating and selling them on ideas, but I'll give you all my business. It was a great deal for me. It was a great deal for them. They got all my business. So you're always selling.
You guys, you think that's not sales?
It is
That's
sales.
absolutely
It's exactly what it is. It's not just selling to customers, it's selling to your employees, it's selling to your vendors, all of them.
Right. And good, we covered decisions and
Yep.
we covered the responsibilities, I hope.
Yep.
that-
There's more than that. You're in charge of all of them. It's a Harry Truman deal, I call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that? The buck stops here.
Buck stops.
Okay, this is it. Everything stops right here. I own the company. It's my name on the building.
Right.
The buck stops right here, and I'm eventually going to have to make a decision about this thing and handle it.
We did talk about numerous responsibilities. You know, one of the items on that list is one of your favorite topics is manager. Nobody, you know, you say, oh yeah, manager, big deal. Most people are not. I mean,
Well, most people are not, and it's certainly, some may be a natural people person being able to manage, but for the most part, like I've said so many times, people are good at a particular function. Just because you're a good salesperson doesn't mean you're going to be a good sales manager. There are different skills involved because now you're responsible for these people. Are you good at planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling, all of these issues? They never studied them? How the hell are you going to be a good manager?
right. You said it, planning.
Organizing, staffing, leading, controlling.
You take a course on management, that's what it's about.
Exactly.
But that's taking a course. Manager is a job position of its own, a skill.
It is.
A
It is.
talent, a skill, a
But
training.
too many people get promoted into a management position, and quite frankly, they're good at some skill. They might have been great writing software. Now they're the manager of the department. Those skills aren't the same.
That's right.
Who the hell taught you how to be a manager of human beings? How do you become a leader of these people?
Right.
I don't know. Some do it naturally, some do it very few.
Well, this episode, one comment I want to make is that I hope you're watching this episode and saying, you guys are trying to talk me out of this. I mean,
No,
we're
no.
not. We
go
are
with-
trying to breathe.
Just
some
go into it
reality.
with your eyes open,
Yeah.
all right?
Anyway, thank you for watching this episode of Fox Robbins. Great to have you on board. Please, if you have any comments, send comments to foxrobbins@gmail.com. Make good, clean comments,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. And we will catch up with you guys next time.